Hey girl, I recently did a video about this bob unit, but I got a lot of questions about how I did my makeup for this video. So I'm going to show you guys how I achieved this makeup look. Let's get into it. First things first, we're going to prime our face. So I have this Prime Plus from Revlon that I use. I put a little bit of that on my face and I just rub it in and make sure it's thoroughly saturated into my skin. This is going to give my makeup something to stick to, making it last longer. Normally after I do my primer, I just allow it to sit maybe like 2 minutes, nothing crazy, just long enough for it to sit and get settled into my skin. If you notice after you put your primer on, your face will be a little bit stickier. I have oily skin, so this is a mattifying primer. Next, I'm going to use my foundation that I don't think I showed, but it's the Ruby Kisses No Blemish foundation. I will put a link to it below so that you can find it on Amazon if you need it. My shade is Cognac. I take my flat, round, big brush and I just start patting that into my skin. I try to pat more than rub, but you know, sometimes you do rub a little bit, but for the most part, you're just going to pat that into your skin. This process is going to lay the foundation of your makeup, so it is crucial that you make sure you get every piece of your face covered with this foundation. And I even take it down onto my neck just to blend it a little bit with my neck. I'm taking a good amount of time to do this so that I know every part of my face is covered. Okay, so next we're going to use our concealer. You can find the links to all of these products below in my description. So I put this concealer in my inner eye, the area in my inner eye, and on the outer part of my eye. I don't put a lot of product in the middle of my eye, like right beneath my eye, because the product that's on the sides will blend into that. So my inner eye, my outer eye, my chin, my upper lip, and my forehead all get concealed with this concealer. You want a concealer that's a lot lighter than your skin complexion because you're highlighting your face. The purpose is to highlight those places that get the most light. I take a small brush and I just start patting that in, and then toward the bottom of where the product is, after I blend it all over the bottom of my eye, I start to swipe my brush so that it can just blend a little bit more seamlessly at the bottom. And I do that same thing on both sides. Then we're going to do the same technique at the bottom. But I realized that I skipped a very crucial step. So I was supposed to take some setting powder and put it underneath my eyes as soon as I blended my concealer, and I did not. But this is how you fix that mistake. Take a little bit more concealer. Just take that product and blend it in just so that it's a little bit wet again. And then you're going to take your setting powder and you're going to do that immediately after you put the concealer on. The purpose of this is so that your face doesn't get oily or look too moist. This is going to give you that flawless look. So if you do forget to put your setting powder on top of your concealer, just go back in, add a little bit more product, make it moist again, and add your setting powder. This worked perfectly fine. It didn't affect the end result. I did that on both sides. I added a little bit more of that product, and then I just blended it in how I did the first time. And then I took that setting powder. I put it on just a little powder puff. I got my powder puff from, I think, Ulta. It was probably like $3. I dip it into my setting powder, and I just pat it along where I put that concealer. Just pat it. Do not rub it. This is one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to rub that powder puff across your face. We're just going to tap it gently across the face so that we could set what we already put on the skin. Eventually, you start to notice how flawless that looks. It doesn't look so oily or shiny. It just looks nice and mattified. The reason why I don't do that same process on my upper lip, my chin, and my forehead, I don't do it that particular way because I like my upper lip, my bottom lip, and my forehead to be highlighted, but not as intensely as my under eye. So I don't rush to get the powder puff and put setting powder on those 3 areas. Instead, I blend those accordingly with my brush I take that same brush, I dip it into my setting powder, then I go over it with the setting powder on my brush rather than on a powder puff. And to me, it just gives you a less dramatic look. I feel like if I use the powder puff on my upper lip, my chin, and my forehead, it would just look a bit intense. And that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for flawless and simple, not super dramatic. I just take some, put it on my brush, I blow it off a little bit, and then I just put it on those spaces that I just said, my chin, upper lip, and my forehead. The setting powder that I use is a Morphe setting powder. I do believe it's the Banana Deep setting powder, and I use that, again, under my eye and my chin, my upper lip, and my forehead. So that Morphe setting powder, I swear by. I think it's the best setting powder that I've used thus far. I used to use one that I just found at the beauty supply, but I noticed that the Morphe was a little bit better. A lot better. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's worth the coin because your face is going to be so mattified and just flawless. Now, this next part is going to be my contouring my face. This concealer is very, very potent, okay? You only need a tad bit of this concealer. I've had this same jar of concealer probably 2 years now because you don't have to use but so much. I swear by it. Just be sure that you're taking your time with your blending. Blending cannot be rushed because that is what's going to give you your flawless and seamless look. So the edges of that concealer, the darker concealer, you want to just make sure you're blending it very thoroughly so that you don't have any harsh lines on your face. And I take that angled brush and I just make sure that I brush it upwards. And that's the way that I do my contour for my cheeks. Now, for my nose, I take a smaller brush and I just start to rub that product up and down my nose into my brow. This makes your brows look a little bit less harsh, especially if you used a highlight to chisel them out or to clean them up. Taking that darker contour into your eyebrow, I've noticed just makes it look a lot more natural. So again, take your time with your blending as long as it takes to make it flawless and seamless. While you're blending that darker concealer in, it may look like your nose is going to be too dark. Don't be alarmed by that. We're going to fix it later. And to set my contour, I use a Ruby Kisses pressed powder. I just take that powder, I put my brush into the product, and I brush over where the liquid contour was. And this just, again, does the same thing that the powder puff does and the setting powder does on the other areas. This step overall just prevents an oily finish. I needed to touch up my brow a little bit. I can show you guys how I do my brows. They just take so long, and I didn't want this video to be so drawn out. So I can do a separate tutorial on how I fill in my brows and the products I use for that. So I take that powder puff again with the Morphe setting powder that I just showed. I don't add any concealer at the bottom of my face. Some people do. I don't do that. I just take some of that setting powder and I apply it at the bottom of my face. It's already covered because I put foundation down there. So it's not like it's just uncovered and I'm adding setting powder over it. I'm just taking that powder puff and applying some setting powder so that my face doesn't look oily at the bottom. I just take that angled brush and I blend that into the setting powder. I hope my explanations are making sense, y'all. I just do it. So this is new to me, trying to explain how I do it. So I hope I'm making sense. And if I have not made something clear, just add a comment below and I will clarify any questions you may have. I take the concealer that I use to highlight my under eye and those other areas, and I draw a line in the middle of my nose. So remember, I said that we'll fix the dark areas of the nose, fix that part that just looks too dark. That's how you do it. You just take a little bit of concealer, you draw a line down the middle of your nose, and you just blend those two concealers together. So that dark concealer and that concealer that's in the middle, just take and blend those two things together. And anywhere you put liquid, you want to go over it with a powder. Because I used a lighter concealer, I went back with that Banana Deep powder with that brush and I just patted that in there. So now I'm taking my favorite bronzer from Juvia's Place and I'm applying that in the area where I did my darker contour. This allows everything to look a lot more seamless because that contour looks a bit harsh before you add your bronzer. When you add the bronzer, it makes everything come together. Instead of using one, just the top or the bottom, I mix them both together. I take my brush and I brush it into the top, brush it into the bottom, brush it into the top, brush it into the bottom, and get a little mixture going. It blends into the contour, but you don't want to apply it over the entire contour, more so toward the top where your cheekbone is. Then I take that same bronzer and I do the same thing with a smaller brush and I put that over my eyelids. I don't know why I do it. I saw another girl do it on TikTok and I wish I remembered her name so that I could give her credit, but I saw her do it and I was like, oh, that just brightened up the look. Like it just did something for the eyelids. If you're not doing any type of eyeshadow, you have something on your lids that just locks it all in. So then I want to add just a little bit of color to my cheekbones, but I don't use a quote-unquote blush for my cheeks. I just use this eyeshadow that I have on an eyeshadow palette that's worked for me. I just take a flat brush and I dab it onto my cheekbones and I blend it upward. It's from the Warrior 3 palette by Juvia. It's the orangey color. I use that one. And sometimes I use the one that's at the top right, too. I have this mascara that I probably got from Five Below. It really, truly does not matter to me because I'm going to glue lashes on the top anyway. So it doesn't really matter what mascara you use. Honestly, if you're just putting lash extensions or lash clusters or a lash strip over, it doesn't really matter as long as it gets your eyelashes black and darker to the color you want. I probably paid $3 for this mascara. I take a black gel eyeliner and I just line my waterline. I love a lined waterline. I just feel like it makes your eyes pop more, and I have like a chinky eye, so I just feel like it adds an effect to it. I don't know, when I don't do it, I feel like my eyes don't pop as much. So I just take that eyeliner. That's probably an NK eyeliner that I got from the beauty supply store. I'm almost positive that's what that is, and it was probably $2 at the beauty supply store. Okay. So I just recently started putting mascara on my bottom lashes, and I love the way it makes my eyes pop. I always add bottom lash mascara now. I didn't think it would make a difference because I didn't think my bottom lashes were noticeable enough. But when you add that mascara, girl, your eyes are going to pop. I'm telling you. And if you do that with the dark eyeliner, whew, yeah, girl, I'm telling you, do it. Be very careful while you're doing this, though. It's been plenty of times that I poked myself in the eye with that wand. So make sure while you're doing this, you're super careful and you take your time. You can't rush this process for the bottom lashes, especially if your bottom lashes are small like mine. And sometimes you got to move your arm a lot of different weird ways, you know. I can't just get it with my right hand. I can't get to my left eye as easily. So I have to, you know, make it work. I take my lash glue. This is a clear eyelash glue. I love it because if I put too much on, you can't even tell because it dries clear. Love it. And I decided a long time ago that it's easier to put the eyelash glue on my lid rather than trying to put it on the strip itself. Trying to put the eyelash glue on the strip itself is why I was having so many issues. When I put it on my eyelid, it just dries a lot quicker. And I feel like it's just the adhesive is a lot easier to stick when you apply the lash glue to your skin rather than the strip itself. I know some people add the eyelash glue to their strip and to their eyelid, which I've done before, but to me it just seemed kind of unnecessary. So I did it that way, and once I got it on my eye, it takes patience. I'm not going to be one of those girls that edit out the parts where I'm struggling to get the lash on. Putting lashes on isn't always pretty, but it takes a lot of patience, and if you can be patient, the reward is plenty. But yeah, so I take that eyelash glue, and because the glue is just wet enough where I can squeeze my eyelash and the strip together and join them together so that I don't have very much of a gap. Some people do this step with an eyelash curler. I don't. I just use my fingers. But if you're somebody who has very coarse and curly eyelashes like me, I truly recommend trying to apply your eyelash glue to your lid rather than the strip. I'm telling you, it's going to change the whole trajectory of everything because you're going to put that strip on and it's going to be so simple, and you're not going to have to worry about getting lash glue all over your lash and getting glue all over your fingers. Having curly eyelashes is a challenge, and for years, it would take me so long to get my lashes on. I would damn near want to cry when it was time to put lashes on. But if you put the lash glue on your lid, I promise you, it's going to make it so much easier. So then I take some of my mascara and I just blend it a little bit. I don't swipe it across my whole lash extension or my whole lash strip. I just take it and I apply it a little bit to the lashes underneath my strip. Remember when I said be careful with the mascara wand? Yeah, that's why, because even in this video, I poked myself in the eye with the mascara wand. I got too excited. I had to calm myself down. I take a brown eyeliner pencil. This is just an eyeliner pencil I got from the beauty supply store. I sharpened it and I lined my lips with it. I want to invest in a better eyeliner pencil. So if you guys have a recommendation that I could use for an eyeliner pencil that's a long-lasting pencil, I would truly appreciate that because I'm looking for a good one. The setting spray that I just used was a Morphe setting spray. So I just sprayed that over my face and yeah, that's it. Don't forget, if you like the wig that I'm wearing in this video, you could go to my page and check out my previous video about the install, the details, and the products used to achieve it. Thank you guys so much and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, girl. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, and like this video for more.
Are we live?